You will understand soon what I mean. So, yeah, very weird things happened. Like people observing me, people talking to me. I heard voices in my head. There was all kinds of stuff going on. So, after a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. So the only place I did find was the university I was talking about, where the psychologist worked, or where I went for, well, not first, but where I had appointments, right? So I did go stationary into that clinic. That's the word I'm looking for. And there, yeah, well, there it didn't stop, of course. So very weird things like the doctor taking blood and puncturing my vein and twisting the needle inside of my vein. So immediately, when I reacted to it, he immediately pulled the needle back and said, wait, and took the blood. Now, if you think this is stupid, because I let him puncture my vein and twist the needle inside of it, think about it. Just think about a normal doctor visit. They always talk with a soothing voice, right? They always try to calm you down, so talking stupid nonsense like, oh, you are already big, you surely are not afraid of a needle, so on and so forth. And then they do things like that. Then they stab you through the vein, and he even looked in my face. He directly looked into my eyes while doing it and smiled. This fucking German cunt. But alright. So, things like that happened, where it was pretty obvious this is going nowhere. But remember, at the time, I'm talking maybe just in short explanations. But this was going on for days, weeks, I believe even months, up to the point where I went to the clinic. One time when I went back, I didn't have any appointments anymore with the psychologist, but I have to take a drink for a second. At one point, while I was going back home, I was stationary, but as you can imagine, if you have to wash your clothes or go get something or things like it, you can of course go home. And I did that, and when I came back home, I saw a car. How do you say that? It's not burnout, but when you hit the gas and the car is like making the tires are making that squeaky sound. I hope you people understand what I mean. So of course I look at the car. It was a Mini with two white stripes, and inside of the car sits the psychologist, not the doctor, where I first went, who popped my cyst in my thyroid, but the psychologist. And of course, very weird, right? So this was also the first time I experienced voices in my head. During that time, I honestly thought I was going crazy. Due to the chemicals, I read a lot about it. So I thought I have episode of schizophrenia. Like, just imagine if you take a mushroom, of course you are gonna have hallucinations, right? So the same thing if your chemical balance is screwed in your body, things are gonna happen, right? So what I didn't know is that it was fake. The voices I heard was a very specific program I was put under. Now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of bullshit on YouTube and everywhere talking about this stuff and saying, oh, I'm getting followed by the government and I don't know what. But I'm not that kind of guy, to be honest. I do believe that the government does a lot of screwed up shit, but I do not believe that, how should I say, they would endanger themselves with such a program, to be honest. What I do believe is that these people doing this must be very, very rich. Of course, if it was just the average Joe, he won't have the technology, he won't have the possibilities for research, he won't have the possibilities of infiltration from the neighbors. Why would somebody do that? Let you inside and put a whatever device next to your wall. I mean, I do kind of believe it is somehow connected to the German government, but I cannot know. So, when all of that happened, I couldn't endure it anymore. I honestly felt it was stereotypical. But the thing is, it was real, so it's of course different when it's real. But I really felt like the neighbors were radiating me. For example, it was summer, but every day at a time, like I said, it was during a month and a half or so while all of this was going on. So at the time, the neighbor right next to me always came into that usually empty room. I never heard them inside next to me. And remember, I was sick for a while, so I was a lot of the time at home. Never heard them in the room next to me, but every evening, I should say, he came inside, and right next to my head, where I'm in bed, he tinkered with how do you say that? What's that called? God damn it! Where you put the electricity plug. He put something in the electricity plug, and he was always having a hard time to hit it. When he gets it in, all right. The device, whatever it was just humming, like just, and that's all it did. And he didn't do that before. It was just for a while I was hearing the voices. And it really made me pretty sick. I couldn't sleep at all. I got aggravated. And I even moved the bed into the middle of the room. Really like a crazy person. There was shit going on I couldn't believe. Like the neighbors above me started fucking and talking in Croatian, for example, which made me like honestly go crazy, because I thought, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are they talking in Croatian now? And they were talking about me. Let's show him how it's done, shit like that in Croatian. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm absolutely crazy, right? So, like I said, I did believe I've had some episode of schizophrenia. And, it didn't take long before I went back to Croatia. I said, okay, I lost my job. And I didn't want to lose all of my money, of course. So I said, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. And that's what I did. Now, funnily enough, for 1 year, I stayed for 1 year here in Croatia. And the whole time I was here in Croatia, I didn't hear a single voice. So I didn't hear any voices. The panic attacks were gone in Munich. So I didn't have physical problems, I didn't hear any voices, so on and so forth. So what happened next is I got an offer to go to Berlin. and I'm gonna roll myself a cigarette. All right. So my mother uh, asked me if I want to go to Berlin to start working there, and I said yes, of course. Now you of course don't understand, but me and my mother really don't have a good how do you say that relationship. We have a pretty bad relationship. She's a pretty crazy woman. She's how should I say, narcissistic, like a real psychopath. I don't know how to explain her. She's what's that word? Hysteria. I don't know how to say the right word for it. She's like panicking a lot, which didn't have anything to do what happened with me. I'm just trying to explain how she is. So she's screaming a lot, and she's just a crazy person. Hypocritical also. But like I said, I took the offer and went to Berlin. The apartment wasn't on my name, it was on her partner's name. So I was just living there, working for myself. They sometimes visited Berlin, so that's the reason why I had the chance to go there, and I did. So after a while I found a job, of course. It was a call center again, so pretty shitty job, of course. And the pay is, of course, kind of minimum wage. I don't really remember, but I think it wasn't minimum wage. A little bit above doesn't mean much, right? So what happened there is the colleagues started mobbing me. They started laughing at me. Mobbing is hard to explain because it's hard to give across a feeling. Like when somebody says something nonsensical, which isn't funny or related to anything. It's not like somebody is saying a joke or something like it. They just give a comment like something stupid, and that was it. And then all the fucking idiots start laughing. Of course, they do something like that when, for instance, you finish a call. And then they do something like that. So you know it's about you. And there's just millions of examples how people do mobbing. I mean, it's in my case, at least, it wasn't direct. So there wasn't, well, a couple of times it was direct, but it's always behind my back. And they do it, of course, on purpose. So they are all together. It's all the whole team, of course. And I didn't have any friends there, so don't get me wrong, but I didn't intend to. Well, let's better say I'm not a extroverted guy. I'm not talkative. I'm pretty quiet. Keep to myself. Do everything alone. So I wasn't the guy telling stories and entertaining people or colleagues or whatever. So that started happening, and it went on for a while, and it got harder and harder to endure. So every day you have a fucking shitty job, and then I'm not sure about the calls. Maybe they have a set up calls, because I got a couple of calls where the guy is like jerking off and then telling you that you like servicing him and shit like that. So there was a lot of things going on. Colleagues calling you oh, you don't know who I am, and they call just as a customer, and shit like that was going on. So a lot of stuff went down in that place. Of course, complaints are nonsensical. I mean, it's a fucking disgusting company. It's a call center. It's what was the name? Jesus fucking Christ! Immobilien Scout, right? Which is just a fucked up company. So I did quit, since it didn't make any sense to keep working there while everybody was fucking with me. So I did quit, and that's the time while I was getting or how should I say, like solving. Let me explain a little bit. So I intended to switch to another department because I have a lot of capabilities. I can do a lot of stuff. So I wanted to switch to another department. They couldn't do it. They were talking about it, but I knew nobody liked me there, so I of course didn't have any hopes. And the what's the title? It wasn't a team leader, but just like the boss of this section where I was. She was offering me to fire me. So even if I quit the job, she offered me to fire me because of the German laws. If I quit the job, I wouldn't have the possibility to get money from the how do you call it, Bureau for Work Relations, I guess is the translation in Germany. So I did that while looking for another job, of course. But during that time, while I was solving all of that for the apartment to pay my rent and so on and so forth, I started hearing voices again. Now, yeah, that's important. The voices were the same as in Munich. So the same voices. In Munich, I still believed I had an episode of schizophrenia. Now in Berlin, it was different, because in Berlin, the neighbors started fucking with me too. When I lost my job, I was of course at home all the time. I'm very poor. I don't have any money, so going outside and just drinking and having fun is not an option for me. I'm not a real drinker. I'm drinking right now because of my birthday. But I'm alone, as you can hear, and I'm making a fucking retarded video, right? So, yeah, that's how I spent most of my time, and that's the first time where the neighbors started using keywords used in brainwashing. And I'm gonna stop this right now.